Hola.
Hola, hi Lynn.
Hi, Remy. It's Lynn and Michael in Portugal.
Great, great. You're welcome to turn on your videos if you'd like, and everybody else as well.
Okay, listen. There's someone from the studio. Hello. Can you hear me?
There you go.
So I'm seeing Kaylee. Hi, Kaylee. Can you say a word just that we see that we can hear you?
Hi, I'm Kaylee.
Okay, great. Lynn and Michael.
Michael.
Great, good to hear and see you. Lisa Marie, you're welcome to also join on video.
I'm here. How do I do that?
Here, I just sent you an invitation. And also welcome Seymour. I'm going to invite you to start the video. If you'd like to stay without video, without call, okay, here you are.
Hi, Rami.
Hi.
I'm here with my son, and we're eating dinner in France. Is it okay if we're here for just the first 30 minutes?
Sure. Sure. Welcome.
Okay, great. We'll go
Great.
back on mute. Nice to
Great.
meet you. Nice to see everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
So we got France, Colorado, New York. Lynn, where are you at right now? Lynn, Michael, where are you at right now?
We're in Portugal, Portugal.
Yeah,
That's where we live.
great. So thanks for coming and being prompt on time. We're still seeing people joining in. So how about I'll just mute us all, and maybe we can just take a moment to connect with our breath and moment of silence. And when we, in a couple of minutes, we'll begin. Welcome, Sairan. We can't see or hear you at the moment, which is fine. If you'd like to just listen in, that's completely acceptable. We're just taking a moment of letting people join, and we'll start in a moment or so. So as you're sitting with possibly anticipation or excitement or whatever you're holding in your body right now, you bring a sense of gratitude to being alive and having the privilege of dedicating an hour of your time, 90 minutes, to connection, to exploring and developing your own practice, whatever that is, whatever path it is, your curiosity to connect with like-minded hearts, with people from different parts of the planet that are literally experiencing different times right now, the different seasons. You may have breakfast, others may have just dinner. We're all on this amazing planet, different experiences, but we're able to share with this amazing technology that we have. And we've all been following some calling to come here today. So I expect we'll have a few more people joining. We had about 20 registrations, so I expect at least 5 more people. But let's just go ahead and we will be recording this call for maybe some people who could not join. So if you're staying on the call, thank you for your permission to recording. If you don't feel like that works for you, you can either step out or just not, or participate to the degree that works for you. So I'll just give a bit of a brief overview of what this call is about, and then we'll open it up, and I'll just start with introducing myself briefly. Yeah, and my name is Rami Efal. I'm the executive director of Zen Peacemakers International, and I've been working with Bernie Glassman, the founder of Zen Peacemakers, for the past 5 years, until he passed away in November. And I got to work with him after several years of formal Zen practice, working, living, and studying in Zen monasteries and temples. And at some point, there was this calling that came out to somehow manifest and move all these insights and all these amazing skills that I developed in my trainings and still developing, but to bring it really, really close to everything else. I realized at some point I was doing some kind of a division in my mind, whether I was aware of it or not, that there's something that's called practice, and then there's everything else. And one of the things that Bernie aspired to is to inspire us to see that the whole world is our cushion. And I think today more than ever, with the climate disruption and all the challenges that we're seeing now with asylum seekers and refugees and tensions that are rising, there's so much to do with how much this world needs our attention. So I felt very privileged meeting Bernie and feeling that these visions align for us. I also met him on the Auschwitz retreat, and some of you may be joining us this year. And I can speak more about that during the call. And one of the things that happened in 2017 is that we reconfigured Zen Peacemakers as it's been up to then and called it Zen Peacemakers International, and really put that internationality aspect in the middle of everything. Zen Peacemakers have always been an international community, people from all over Europe, some from Africa, the Americas. But this time we really wanted to focus on raising this global awareness. So we wanted to not just call it international, but we also wanted to develop resources and time and connection with creating this international network. So welcome. So you've just joined it. Hi, Megan. Welcome. We've just started, and soon we'll go around and we'll all have an opportunity to introduce ourselves. And so I'm just recapping this to Megan. So I'm just giving a quick review of this call. So this call is really dedicated to people who are either brand new to Zen Peacemakers, maybe just heard about it, maybe read Bernie's books, maybe been to a retreat, or maybe maybe some of you are about to go on a retreat with us. They want to hear a bit more about it. So this call is for all of those purposes. So really a first point of contact through me. And I'm also very grateful to have this opportunity to have Kaylee with us. Kaylee is our new assistant. She's going to work closely with me. And this is literally her first day. So this is a great opportunity to both welcome you, Kaylee, and also have you kind of jump right in. So, you know, at this point, maybe I'll just stop, and I can go to many different places. But I would love to maybe just open it up at this point and just add your voices into the mix a bit. And maybe I'll call on one of you. Just introduce yourself and what brought you to this call, and maybe if you can name one other person, and then the next person will go. So we'll go just one round, just to hear where you're from and what brought you to the call. So let's start with Lisa Marie.
Good morning. It's a morning in Colorado. And I'm dancing on the earth space called Colorado, the back of the sleeping dragon, Rocky Mountains. And my Dharma name is Luminous Donna of the Heart. People here call me Lumi. And I wanted to plug in and show up because I have attended the Native American Bearing Witness Retreat, the first one that Zen Peacemakers did in 2015, and I'm interested in continuing to do that around the world, not just up in South Dakota, and become involved with international Zen community, a community of social action, earth action, climate change. And so here I am, I'm plugged in. Let me hear from Seymour.
Wait, we can't hear you yet. I'm trying to unmute you.
Hello.
Yep,
Can you hear
there
me
you
now?
go. Yep.
Thank you, Lisa Marie. My son heard your voice and came over to the phone immediately. So there's clearly some connection there. So I live in France, in Annecy, which is sort of the east central part of France, 1 hour away from Geneva. And while I have my own sort of meditation practice, I don't know that I could say it, Zen meditation, I am involved in some peace work, specifically Geneva Peace Week. And I thought it would be really neat to connect that kind of work that's being done in Geneva, internationally, politically, with some much deeper sort of Zen peace work. And so I actually saw a blog on this Lions Roar about Roshi Bernie, and it was beautiful. Moved me, really spoke to me, and so I immediately signed up for this call. So thank you for having me here. And so I pass over to Megan.
Hi, Megan. Would you like to just say a few words?
Hey, yeah, I just the past 4 years being at Tahara, then here in California, and I hear. Hello.
It's a bit choppy. I wonder if you turn off the video, maybe the audio will be better. Just for a moment.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, great.
Okay. Okay, yes. So, yes, I spent the last 4 years at Tahara Zen Mountain Center, which is a pretty remote retreat center. And now I'm transferring to San Francisco Zen Center because I wanted to be more involved with the community and what's going on in the world. And the 4 years of up at Tassajara helped me to examine kind of what's going on internally, but I feel like I would like to be more a part of what I like to call active Buddhism and sharing and just really using all of this energy to create a better world for everybody, and hopefully to help people find the peace that I have found, and yeah, just be more engaged and more aware. So thank you for this meeting. I just really appreciated your website and wanted to learn more about it. Thank you. And next, I don't have names, I'm sorry, on my screen.
Okay. Maybe let's hear from Kayla.
Me? Okay.
Hi, my name's Kaylee, and I am brand new to Zen Peacemakers International. Just got hired on as Rami's assistant. Really excited about being here with all of you. I grew up in the Catskill Mountains near Woodstock, New York, and definitely very steeped in the Zen monastery up there. There's also one here in New York City. Most of our community and most of the people that I grew up around was had some affiliation with that. So it's been pretty a part of my foundation for a very, very long time. And when I found Zen Peacemakers International, it just felt like it was this beautiful hybrid of all the things that I wanted to be a part of in regards to direct action, civic action, social action, in addition to doing all that with the foundational knowledge of the Zen principles and Buddhist principles. So I'm really excited about being here, really excited to be a part of this community and the conversation and working with all of you. Thank you. Let's see. Lynn?
My name is Lynn LaFontaine, and my husband Michael and I have been living in Portugal a little over 3 years. We are from the States, retired, and in part moved over here to be close to Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village in France. It's easier for us to get there from here than it was to the States. That was one of the reasons we thought living in Europe would be good for us. I've known about Bernie for years, but haven't really studied his work. But now I've read some of his books and seen some of the videos about him, and was very curious about the Auschwitz trip. So we'll be doing that in November for the first time. I have a dramatic background, and the story of the camps has always been somehow a part of my story as well. So that's kind of where we are today. I heard we came to the podcast about the going to Auschwitz, and this was a beginning intro that was mentioned on the website. So we're here to just learn more and more about this particular Buddhist group. So I'll introduce my husband, Michael.
Hi, my name is Michael, and I've been involved with Buddhism for quite a while. Different schools, and seem to have settled in the last few years with Thich Nhat Hanh's approach to Buddhism, which I find appeals to me and seems to work. And I think there is where I heard about the Peacekeepers, and it seemed really interesting, and it seemed like a good step toward taking action with some of the Buddhist principles, which made a lot of sense to me. I'm looking forward to meeting you all and seeing you in November.
Great. Thank you, Lynn and Michael. I want to welcome Barbara. Hi, Barbara. I wonder if you just want to introduce yourself, your name, maybe where you're calling from, and what drew you to this call. We're just doing this first round of introductions.
Okay, I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. I was born in New York, and I'm a follower of the Plum Village tradition, Thich Nhat Hanh, and I join Trish Thompson in the spring every year. We go to Vietnam every year on a retreat, and I'm very, very involved, and I've learned of you from a number of people that already belong. I am Jewish. I have not been to Auschwitz, but I have been to a number of the camps. When my husband and I were in Israel a number of years ago, we met this amazing woman. Her husband and she lived there. And they are involved with the Lutheran Church, and they bring German kids to Israel, teenagers, for a month, and then the Israeli kids come to Germany. And when we first met, she invited us to visit, and I was like, oh no, 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 not going to Germany. But it was the most amazing trip. We were there with them for a little over a month. And so I heard about you from John Prescott, who I just finished a retreat with. I belong to the Desert Cactus Sangha here in Phoenix, and we were lucky enough to have John in for the weekend because there are a number of us who are aspirants in the Plum Village tradition, and we wanted John to come and work with us on some of the practices that we sort of had but didn't really have, and on some of the chants. And I'm very, very interested in the peacemakers. I'm very involved in engaged Buddhism, particularly living here in Arizona with the migrant situation. So my husband is not Buddhist and doesn't really support me in this. So it's a bit of a challenge, but we manage. So that's who I am. Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, everyone. Just taking a moment to take everything in and maybe highlight, if I haven't before, that I think all of you touched upon, your practice, and this is a fundamental piece of what Zen Peacemakers vision is. So part of the social action or the engagement that we're trying to encourage out in the world is this deep curiosity to our experience as human beings, as part of this planet, as this part of this reality. So I'm really excited to hear how many of you already have either Zen training or other traditions. That is really the baseline that we want to work from, and we invite people in. So even in this call, and I realized while we were waiting for people to enter, we kind of sat in silence quietly for a little bit, but I really invite us to, and I include myself in it, to return to that silence, even between our sharings. Maybe I'll ask a question, and we can always return that as a baseline. That there's a deeper resource that's available to us as we're letting go of what our habitual moment of mind wants to say or hear or ask, and bear witness to our whole being. And then if speech comes out, or a request or an action, that's what Bernie used to call a loving action, because it's based on not knowing and bearing witness. So even just by doing this, we're already plugging into those principles that Bernie coined, which are the 3 tenets of the Zen Peacemakers. And I went through them just now, but I'll just name them again: not knowing, bearing witness, and taking action that arise from not knowing and bearing witness. And those actions are often carried with a sense of connection, because they don't come with an agenda. There's also a connection that comes from bearing witness. There's just a curiosity of what's around here, what's around in me, what's around in the people that I'm with, what's needed. Not what I think is needed, but what is the moment requiring. And oftentimes it will be spontaneous. And a wonderful quality of this action that it's a faithful action. There's a component of faith here. And sometimes in Buddhism, we don't really speak much. I never heard much about faith in is that true? Hold on, I'm checking with myself. I don't think I really connected with that sense of faith. And developing that sense of faith of, I have the whole capacity of this moment, whatever comes up for me, whether you call it spirit, whether you call it God, the unknowing, unfolding oneness, is the right action. And this was what Bernie was encouraging us to explode out into the world, not in an impulsive way and not in a disregarding way, but to not wait. Not wait. He was always hearing from students, the question of like, how much more do I need to practice until I can do something? Or people were afraid of creating, negative karma, or maybe hurting other people. Maybe they feel like they need to purify themselves more, do more practice. And he would always have this amazing way of instilling trust that I am, you are, we are an expression of this unity right now. And we have everything we need to act from. So I'm both inviting back a bit of that deepening in silence as we walk in internally, as we ask questions, and we'll open it up in a bit again. And this is a real invitation, and sorry, I think I was dropped, so I'm back here. There are many ways to engage with us. We have about 1,500 members right now, really all across the planet. I'll shift into showing you our membership platform that you have free access to. And you can see members all over. You can directly contact them. You can see different affiliated groups and see events that they're doing. So there are many ways to connect. A really simple way to just kind of follow what we're doing, and maybe some of you have done that before, is just following our newsletter, see what we're doing. Some people are really just feeling that that's the level of inspiration that they want. It could be that you're one of them. That's completely fine. Some people simply take several years until they feel, oh, I want to do more. I always read about these programs and these plunges and these retreats. I want to do more. So it's completely fine to just follow what we're doing, and if that brings you inspiration and support, that's wonderful. Another way is to jump in on this membership platform, and I'll show it more in detail in a bit. And it's open. You can, like I said, meet other members. You can also post things, whether there are events or reflections or anything that you feel again supports you, but it kind of gives you a bit more interaction with other members. Another thing that's available is calls like this. So we're doing 2 calls every month. One call is called the Way of Counsel call, which is a form of a sharing circle. And we're doing it digitally, so obviously the circle is being adjusted. But it's an open theme, open space where we can really drop into silence and speak from our hearts and be heard. There's not a lot of spaces in our busy lives often to really be heard like that. Counsel is a wonderful practice to also integrate meditation with communication, to actually practice relating our experience. I know for me it was fundamental because I had such strong meditation practice, but I wouldn't know how to relate it to others. But just me, what's going on in here? So counsel is a wonderful way to do that. It's following very simple guidelines, but it really contributes to a sense of intimacy and connection. And it's a wonderful way to meet more members, just to make those connections. Counsel is also another core practice that we do on all of our programs, whether it's in Auschwitz or the Native American program or street retreats. That's another thing that Bernie innovated, bringing into his retreats, because he didn't want people to just be shut away with their own personal experience. He would really see these as, he would call them collective enlightenment practices, where we're all, if it's not that we're all related, if this is all one, obviously the whole project of regaining awareness is happening to all of us. And part of the counsel ability is to really experience that and really feel shifts in consciousness that happen among us as a group. It's very powerful. So If you are able to attend one of those, it happens every month. Please feel free, welcome. Another call that's happening every month is a Zen Peacemakers International members meeting, and those do have a theme. So every month there's a different theme, and part of my role in organizing, coordinating these is also glean, what is our community interested in? So I've already heard here, so many of you come from very deep practice, whether it's in training centers. I've heard some of you speak about definitely social action. There was the border, the southern U.S. border with Texas has been a very alive subject on many people's hearts. And we've had a meeting about that 2 months ago. There's already been some actions going on. We've had some members who actually went there. We just had one of our affiliated leaders just got arrested on a rally. We have people who provide service there. There's some conversation of doing a plunge there. So there's a lot of buzz around that. And I know, I think Lisa Marie's community in Colorado has also been looking at how to serve there. So the wonderful thing with plugging into this community is that you really get that added layer of perspective of the national and even international connection. So this is, I'll just, with your permission, Lisa Marie, I'm just going to take your example and your group's example. So they just had a meeting for Zen Peacemaker members in their area in Colorado, and they've been talking about what can we do and how can we serve in that, whether in that area or at the border. But now Lisa Marie is participating in this group, and she's meeting Barbara, and she's meeting other people, and she's already making connections to other people who are interested in this. So this is now a national, there's a national awareness here. I'm not sure, I don't think we have, other than Michael and Lean in Portugal, we don't have anybody right now from Germany or Europe or other places of Europe, but they're dealing with their own refugee crisis. So part of what's happening is that there's a cross-pollination of both ideas, but most importantly, empathy. The fact that here in this country, I live in the US right now, and sometimes I feel like there's a bit of a sense of a silo, like this is happening here and everything kind of closes down on that. How are people in Finland deal with this? How are people in Germany deal with this, or Australia? And this is not necessarily a form of like overwhelm. Oh my God, how can we deal with all of this? It's the opposite for me, and this is how I hope our members can see it. This is an entry of connection. Like, wow, we're all dealing with this. This is a universal need to have a home. And people everywhere are right now moving around. And our whole sense of community and global relatedness is being redefined. So, so this is one of, so we had a call on this subject. We had another call on subject of, I think last month we had about interfaith practice, people who hold different spiritual paths, whether it's Christian or Jewish or Muslim or any one. Like, how is that woven with your Zen Peacemaker calling? Because we found that many people are holding different kinds of practices. We've had other calls, whether it was about, again, climate. We had calls about climate, about race, about homelessness. There's one coming out about people who do mindfulness training in prisons. All of these calls are wide open. So you don't feel like you need to either have experience in it or, I will have nothing to contribute. Don't worry about that. Remember that the first intention for all of these calls is to get connected. That you're going to sit in there and you're going to hear people's stories and how they work with things. And just by the presence there, the bond and connection will grow. Maybe something will happen down the line where you'll think, oh, I heard this person, I can connect with them. So this is the other value that Bernie really brought into Zen Peacemakers. But if you read or kind of like studied Bernie's life a bit, he was a real go-getter and he was a self-starter and he will get stuff done. So this is kind of like the third level. If anyone feels called to really like self-start, and this is a wonderful another kind of like group. These are not formal groups. It's not like I'm saying, you know, there's like formal groups, but there are members who are really self-starters, and they take all of this stuff that they hear. Maybe they come on a retreat or not, and they really want to take it on and develop things themselves. And we had members who developed bearing witness retreats in their own countries or their own hometowns for whatever causes they feel called to do. We had a young woman who came to a street retreat that was organized with a teacher from Belgium, but he was just a member, and he wanted to create a street retreat in Finland. And she came from Ireland because she met him on our platform. She went to Finland. She did a street retreat with him. She was so excited. She came to Auschwitz with us last year, and she was so moved that she wanted to go back to Dublin and do some kind of a bearing witness day for violence towards women, following the finding of a murdered woman in one of the forests around Dublin. And we got into a conversation. I gave her some insights, I gave her some questions, and she developed something. And she brought together about a dozen other women, I think it was mostly women, and created a really meaningful experience, including ritual, including meditation, including counsel, at the location of where that woman was found. Other people are just entrepreneurs, and maybe they have a sense of like, oh, this is a really interesting social enterprise. We can do this, we can do that. So this is again, this invitation to kind of run with it as far as you'd like. And I myself as a resource, and if I can also point you towards other people in our community of teachers or other leaders, it's part of what I'm doing. I'm kind of like hearing what people are interested in, and I can like match people. So I touched on two of those calls that happen once every month, two of those calls. I'm going to pause right now. I spoke a lot. I can take some questions. A few things that I'm going to touch a bit later is the membership platform and the bearing witness retreats. So I'm going to speak about these, but I'll just pause for a moment if anybody has a question. You can just raise your hand. Yeah, Barbara.
Since I'm brand new to this,
Mm-hmm.
I too have a very deep meditation practice, but how do I find out about everything that's going on?
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. So thank you, Barbara. So what I'll do is, so first of all, getting on our newsletter is always helpful. We try to not inundate people with emails. We try to send maybe once a month. So that's, you know, the first thing you can do. You can do that on our website. Yeah. And then what I want to show you, I'm going to share my screen now. And what I'm going to show you is what we call the Zen Peacemakers membership platform. We have kind of like an informal name to it. We call it the Hive, which is like buzzing with you. And this is really the kind of the first go-to place. And I'll just share my screen right now, and I'll show that to you. So this is it. This is the membership platform. It is free to enter. We ask for donations however possible. You can see here on the right, manager membership. So your entry is pay what you can, and the entry is free. So we do ask for contributions. It is costly to keep these technology going for us. So whether it's a monthly basis or an annual, however you can contribute, that's wonderful. So, but the access is free, and you can do it right now at hive.zenpeacemakers.org. And it could be that some of you have already registered through it. So, so this is really our dedicated place. We used to have groups on other social media like Facebook, and we realized that people really wanted their own dedicated space without the noise of other platforms. So, and what you see here is, I'll just go left to right, and you can see there's an About tab, and you can see these are what we call Zen Peacemaker resources. You can learn about all these practices, the 3 tenets that I mentioned, what we call the Zen Peacemaker precepts, day of reflection. These are all either liturgies or rituals that people either do during retreats or even take to their own lives. 5 Buddha families is actually a Tibetan Buddhist. It's a Vajrayana teaching that Bernie really loved, and he brought it into the Zen Peacemakers. It's a wonderful way of seeing the interrelationality of energies within us and in any expression of reality. It's a wonderful Buddhist concept. So if you're interested in learning more, the 5 Buddha families is wonderful. Indra's net is another concept that we work with, which is this interrelated net where each node on the net is reflective and includes all the rest of the nodes on that net. So it's another teaching that we use often. The Grade of Sweet Nectar used to be it is still a Shingon, so it's an esoteric Buddhist ceremony that Bernie also took in, and it's a wonderful visualization of feeding all the hungry ghosts. And actually, he would be seeing the street retreats, the bearing witness retreats, as kind of like a long and expanded ceremony of feeding those hungry ghosts. So, if you come with us to Auschwitz or the Native American program, all of these retreats are seen as a ceremony. So the gate was something that was very dear to Bernie. Mala practice is a form that we invite people to fundraise towards all their retreats. So it's one thing to pay for your retreats, but there's another way to call on the ancient practice of begging, the begging rounds that monks used to do, to fundraise. If you want to come to a street retreat or to Poland or to Native American program, one way is to raise awareness about the cause that you're supporting. So, for example, if you're coming to a Native American program, there's a lot of causes within the Native American community that needs to be brought to people's awareness. And the Mala practice invites us to engage our friends, our family, and say, hey, would you give me, whatever works for you, $10, $5, $100. This is why I'm doing this. It's important to me. So it really becomes personal. And again, because I was talked before about this collective enlightenment practice that Bernie saw all of our practice being, this is not our practice alone. So, we can go on a retreat and just have our own experience, but it's never our only experience. So Mala practice is a way of bringing people who may not be able to come with us because of responsibility, family, but you'll be surprised how many people would want to contribute to somebody who can go. So that's the Mala practice, and we encourage people to do that. Way of counsel I spoke about. Street retreats are really innovative, powerful retreats that happen on the streets, where we go for 4 days with really nothing on our backs other than our clothes and an ID card in case we get arrested. We don't get arrested, but we have an ID. And really learn to plunge into this not knowing, bearing witness, taking action. It's a very humbling experience to the degree. I don't think anybody is. Definitely the homeless people sniff us out. They can tell that we're not homeless. Most people on the street may or may not be able to tell. But it's a very humbling experience to see how people relate to us when we haven't slept for 3 days. We are, we don't feel approachable. We ask people for $1 for a cup of coffee, see how people ignore us, feel what it's like. And even within that, find the resources to find buoyancy and find presence and we always do the Gate of Sweet Nectar on the street. So within this place of nothing, we don't have anything. We go to stores and we say, hey, can you give us an apple? And we're doing and we do the ceremony of offering food to the hungry ghost when we don't have anything. So it's a really wonderful and powerful practice, the street retreats. So these are just links that I invite you to just check, read, come back to. They're all there. The old members room is kind of like an open forum. You can always post things there. You can post photographs, videos, links. You can tag people if you want somebody specific to read this. You also get notified for events coming up. So this is what's happening now. You're on this. This is a report that I posted about this guy from Vermont that recently got arrested for a rally at the close ICE data center in Vermont. You may or may not know, we just literally just about 10 days ago, we finished the Native American Bearing Witness program for 2019, which was a wonderful and really successful event. We had 36 people in South Dakota, and we were hosted by 2 Lakota families. So this is a link to somebody who posted a reflection on that, a young woman from Australia who came. So you can read that there. Mikko is a guy from Finland. He has an affiliated ZPI group in Finland, and he wrote this interesting day of bearing witness that he had on a witches memorial, a monument dedicated to 91 people who were burned as witches in the 16th century. Amazing stuff, like things like really interesting that people are involved in. And even thinking about the karma of this, about today's gender inequality and violence towards women, right? All this is not new. This is the karma that we're right now working with. So he went there, he posted a little report about that, took some photographs. These are some photos that I posted from the Native American program. This is Violet. She's one of the elders and a medicine woman who hosted us and gave us amazing teachings. And we were just holding a lot of listening, and they really appreciate the listening quality. They say that they haven't met people with such curiosity and the discipline to listen. But then we also have our own council groups, and we sit together and we share our own experiences. So this is the group you can see. And we had people from Switzerland, France, Australia, France, Israel, myself, United States. And it's a wonderful gift to them to kind of like pop that bubble that they have over the reservation, which is a very isolating experience, and to have people from all over the planet come and bear witness and share. So that was a wonderful, wonderful retreat. We're going to do that again next year. And then we were looking at and that will end a 3-year program. So the idea was to do 3 plunges. And then on the 4th year, there's a talk about possibly doing another big bearing witness retreat program. The one, I think Lisa Marie spoke about that. She attended that in 2015. We had 180 people. It was very big. This plunge is more of a kind of like a rolling event. So people, we rent cars and we sleep 1 or 2 nights in each place, but it's a total of 6 days, kind of a pilgrimage. And there's a lot of not knowing. Plans kept changing all the time. Our Lakota hosts were, called by spirit to do different things, and we were just being very grateful to just follow and really plunge into not knowing. So this is it. So this is the place where you can just feel free to put shout outs, anything that you think that you would be interested, or just even reflections of where you're at. So that's that. The rooms, I'm just looking up to the right, is dedicated spaces for either themes or affiliated groups. So for example, we have a room for the Native American indigenous peoples. So this is, if I have some announcements, for example, for the Native American people who are interested in that work, I'll post it here. So this is a place that is dedicated to that subject. And it works in the same way. It's kind of like a rolling wall where you can just post things, ask questions. again, it's completely free for you. It's all open access. The other thing that these rooms are, these are dedicated spaces for the affiliated groups. And maybe it's a good time I'll speak about that, that we have a network of affiliated groups, meaning these are not franchises, or these are not groups that I personally or Zen Peacemakers International manage. We're not involved in the governance or the finances or the ethics, but we are in relationship. So these are groups that say, we want to be aligned with your 3 tenets: not knowing, bearing witness, taking action. We're interested in social engagement that is informed by practice. So we create a relationship, and it's an important word because I've heard either Bernie or some of Bernie's successors say that their practice is relationship. People usually say, oh, my practice is meditation. And they will say, like, my practice is relationship, which is interesting. People who have, that's much of training and, this inner worldly ability. Bernie after 60 years would say, my practice is to practice relationship. So again, this is part of the values that we're trying to bring into our work, but this is also the relationship that we have with these groups. You see, so Blue Mountain Lotus Society, Engage Mindfulness Institute, and so you can contact them through these groups, you can post things there, and this is something that's constantly being developed. I'm constantly reaching out and being reached by other groups, so that's also at your disposal. Another piece I'll just touch on is when you sign into this platform, you can choose like what kind of people you're interested in meeting. It can be peace builders, it could be entrepreneurs, it could be yoginis, right? It could be clergy, different calling. I call them calling, like different ways that people find themselves called to serve. Some of these, we call them clusters, had enough critical mass that we created a room for them, and also got some conversations going there. So for example, this is an entrepreneur cluster room. So you can come in there, and again, it's wide open. I will monitor that, but I'm not, it's not, regulated very much in terms of the content. We're really acknowledging people are adults, and we're trusting everyone to relate well. There's a room dedicated to Bernie. Sometimes there's news or things about Bernie, so we can go there and see that. The other thing that is important is the People tab. Yeah. Hey, Seymour, thank you so much for the time that you've been with us. Lovely. Thanks she just chatted everyone saying goodbye. So thanks, Seymour. Hope to see you soon. The People tab is basically this huge map where you can go and you can see and find people around you. So you can either search by name, by keyword, by location, and I think people on the left are by those who recently visited. So you can roll down through it, but you can also just I can go into California, and I can just keep going, keep zooming in, and you can find people around you, and each one of these people has a profile, and you can at least contact them if they have an email address available, or you can also just message them directly. So there's a way here. I'm going to click on this little speech bubble here on the right, and that's like a messaging system, and then you can message anyone on the platform and say, hey, I'm also in San Francisco. Would you like to sit together? Would you like to talk about this subject? So this is also available to you right now. The events is a list of events that either are run by Zen Peacemakers International, like this call, for example, or by our affiliated groups. So the affiliated groups have access to this platform, and they can post events. So you see that there's a program in Annapolis And these are the webinars that we have. Rocky Mountain Echo Dharma Retreat Center, that's a wonderful affiliate that's about reconnecting people through practice to the land and to the planet, obviously. And this one is particularly dedicated to Extinction Rebellion, which is a movement that works with the climate crisis. So these are events, and some of them will require registration, and some of them will simply link you to the organizer's website. So that's another thing you can look at. The video channel is a playlist that we're curating on a regular basis. You can click here and you can see all the list of the different videos that we curated. These calls, for example, the webinars that you're in right now will also be posted here. So this, for example, is the meeting on interfaith that happened on July 10th. So I posted it here, and all the previous ones are also available here. So you can just scroll down and find them. See, there was one for artists, the one for peace builders. So you can, and this gets updated. The members projects page is a way for you to put up a project or an idea or some entrepreneurial initiative that you have, that you either want to raise funds for or just have a little bit of visibility. So you can do that. That's open to everyone, and you don't need to be an affiliate to do that. This is open. Manage the membership is a way to support us again. So there's ways to just create a recurring monthly membership gift. So from $5 to $50. What we do is according to what kind of membership, if you choose to have one, you know, sometimes we send discounts to retreats or discounts on our store, so you can use that. But really, I invite you to just see these, not just beyond the membership in terms of what you're getting, but you're really helping us in this amazing vision and this support for this movement. So being a member in this way really helps this way. And the store is a store. You can get swanky t-shirts and hats, and we're trying to also there's some books, and again, this also supports us. All these ways for you to financially help us are really important. These are what helps continue the operations. These are year-long work that is required. Kaylee is just getting introduced to all of this, but Kaylee will be doing a lot of this work, and you know that also takes financial needs to support that. So you'll be supporting this way. So if you notice that we kind of popped out of the membership platform to our website. So these are the two main places where you can get information about us, whether it's the website or the membership platform. You can always come back to the membership platform through this link here that says membership login. And the journal is our blog. So this is where we put our new stories and news. And this is, again, we're really trying to concentrate on original stories, and we're trying to concentrate on self-reflective expressions for people who are doing the same work that you've been talking about, and same callings that you have. We're not necessarily putting up news about events or news flashes. This is not a news ticker. This is not the purpose of that. The purpose of that is really to support and inspire through the stories of people just like you. So you see, for example, the aim of meditation to listen everywhere. Palestinian and Israeli peace builders reflect on the wisdom of Holocaust writer Eddie Hilson, captioning cards. So this is an interview that I had with an Israeli woman and a Palestinian woman who came on the Auschwitz retreat with us, and it was a wonderful coming together for them as an Israeli and Palestinian women. But then they both were so inspired by this woman who called Eddie Hillison, who was a young woman during the Holocaust, that they created this whole wisdom cards, they call it, and they published them, and now they're selling them out. So it's their own enterprise that they created, but it's their story. And I interviewed them about what it's like for them as women, as peace builders. How did they come to do this? So this is the sort of stories that we're trying to put out there in terms of the inspiration. This is an interview that I had with Manny and Renee Ironhawk, who are our Lakota hosts with the Native American programs, and they just created an amazing immersion school for Lakota because young kids don't know the language anymore. So we've been supporting them a lot, and so here you can see on the blog these kind of stories. Yeah. I'm going to stop the share for now. And just curious to check in. Questions? Thank you, Barbara. I hope that answered you. If there's anything else. Yeah, Barbara.
I was just going to say that was so helpful as I had not been there yet. Thank you so much.
Right. Megan, please. Megan, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop your video just for your question, okay? So we can hear you better. Yeah. Megan, I wonder if it would be best if you chat your question and I can read it that way because I couldn't hear any of the audio. I'm sorry about that. Maybe we'll ask, waiting for Megan. Just so you know, another thing that's going to happen soon is hopefully by fall we will launch a 9-week basic core practices webinar series, and that would be managed in a series of 3 calls. So you don't have to do the whole 9. You can choose series 1, series B, series C. You can do the whole thing. But that's a real rare opportunity to be in a small intimate group video like this with one of the founding teachers of Zen Peacemakers, international group of very accomplished teachers. And each one of these would be dedicated to one of those practices that I went through, whether it was the Gate of Sweet Nectar, meditation, obviously, counsel. So, and there will be some activities between them, but it's another way to engage and kind of, again, plug into the community, but also take the practices a little bit more in. So that's, it's planned to be launched in this fall. So just mentioning that, and you can keep your eyes on that. Megan, I'm just checking in that you're typing in your question. I look forward to see that. Yeah. So I'll just read that to everyone. I'm a member of a large Sangha and would really appreciate some help in seeing how to get those in power to use that influence to be more engaged with awareness of diversity and other issues. It has been very difficult when dealing with those in power positions. Yeah. Thank you, Megan. This is a really important piece. And I will say right from the start that you are in company of many others who bring that issue to our community. So thanks for bringing it to this call, particularly in, well, I don't know if I can speak from my experience. I've worked with different sanghas, and however it's, you know, whether we can say it's a Western expression of Buddhism, how it's turned into here in the West, Um, I've experienced a challenge with sanghas who are really dedicated to practice. They're really dedicated to what they understand is the extent of practice, whether it's meditation, whether it's precept. These are all important skills. And like I said right in the beginning, this is what a lot of our work is based on. At the same time, I've been in communities, and it sounds like, Megan, that you're part of one that is having a hard time getting both into conversations, but really just unearthing these. So first, I just want to acknowledge that this is a challenge. And I'm actually curious to hear from communities from Europe and from other countries, but I think in the US, it's definitely something I've seen. So as I'm hearing this, so for example, this would be a subject that I'll be interested in having a Zen Peacemakers meeting about, in terms of having people like yourself and other people who feel like they're experiencing that in their own sanghas, to at least have an opportunity to share that. Because I think there's a few things going on here. I mean, diversity, gender or racial inequality are gaping needs here in the US, and which are often can be like elephants in the room that nobody speaks about. And the other one is, in a way it's easier to talk about, is the social action piece. There are actually sanghas out there who are not keen on being engaged in the world. And the conversation around power and diversity is kind of lumped into that. But the whole idea of engagement in the world is almost taboo. So this is part of what Zen Peacemakers is trying to offer, not in a way necessarily to challenge or provoke. First and foremost, it's a community for those who are interested in at least having that tendency of social engagement, and to explore the questions of diversity and racial justice. You know, I can go on a whole other tangent in terms of talking with you, and I'm really curious to hear about your experience, and I kind of hope that our connection was better in terms of audio. I've had conversations with many members who had the same question, and I would just, you know, if I may, just as a quick advice is maybe just start small and really start with ourselves. And usually the helplessness and the frustration of not being able to bring this into a community that we love so much can be really heartbreaking. And I invite people who talk or bring that question to maybe not necessarily see the Zen Peacemakers as an exchange, or how can we use Zen Peacemakers to kind of like challenge or provoke the other community, but really see this as the place where we can discuss this. So we're not being held back by the disappointment of one community, but this is what we're trying to offer. And at least maybe with the sense of solidarity and the connection that we'll develop here would either give some relief to the parts that feel unseen, and also may give some tools for the community. So I kind of took a lot of, I took a lot of permission. I hope I didn't overextend that in terms of speaking to that. And again, I really hope maybe next time, Megan, if you come on another call, the connection will be better, and because I would love to connect more and hear your experience from that. I'm happy to try again with your mic, if you'd like that. Yeah, it doesn't get through. What a bummer. Yeah. Megan, it's not, the audio doesn't get through, and the video is very choppy. Thought of leaving San Francisco Zen Center, but feel like it is more important to help them see how important it is to become engaged, interactive, and aware. That is Dharma. Hell yeah, Megan. I hear you. I hear you, and I think this is a really wonderful subject, and I would like to plan a meeting, and I would love to have you there, maybe speak about that, and hear your experience around that. Yeah. So I think I touched upon the Native American program, the Bearing Witness, the Auschwitz retreat a bit, street retreats. Another way to kind of get connected more, and it will be more apparent again later in the fall, is we're going to have a list of teachers and preceptors that if you feel that you want to take it even further and really kind of strike a relationship with a teacher, and really take the Zen Peacemaker training as a spiritual path, that will be available. So you'll see teachers in different areas, and they're open to take on students. So that will be available also in the fall. So I'm curious. I think I spoke a lot. I want to make sure that I return to my breath for a moment, and curious if there's any other questions, informational, or even just sharing. Just what does it feel like to you now? Just hearing this, and does this evoke anything in you? I can do a little check-in. Yeah, Lisa Marie.
Thank you, Rami. First of all, that was very helpful for me to have you go through the website. Mm-hmm. I'm not really tech challenged, but I do need to learn and need to be shown things. I'm visual, so that was very helpful. I am interested in doing a lot of the programs and possibly even working with a teacher. The issue is I just got hired as a flute teacher at the Center for Musical Arts. They don't have any flute students yet, which means I haven't made like any money in the last year and a half. My partner is supporting everything that we do together. Mm-hmm. And so I don't have a means of actually supporting the Zen Peacemakers right now. Mm-hmm. As soon as I do, of course I will. The mala thing is really important. I lean very heavily on my sanghas and my communities in Pennsylvania to do the Native American Bearing Witness retreat. And so I think that's a very viable way of making that happen. I've been big into bartering these days, service and all that stuff. And I also related to a lot of the folks here who are involved with Thich Nhat Hanh's engaged activism. I'm a part of the Earth Holders community as well. And they have live Dharma chats and issues around earth touchings and social engagement. I think it's very interesting that Thich Nhat Hanh's work and Sangha's are very, very similar to Bernie's work and your work and what we're doing with Zen Peacemakers. My Dharma name comes from Thai's lineage. And so I don't so much have a question. I show up at these things not knowing, and I'm just delighted that you took us through the membership or the website, so I know how to do things and post things, and I'll know what to suggest to our local communities here at Eon Zen Center. I think we're on your I've already forgotten what they're called.
Affiliate.
But I remember it visually. But yeah, so I don't know if you have any suggestions for a musician who doesn't bring in any money right now in Colorado.
Right.
I want to continue participating and seeing how it unfolds. I do service work here in Colorado with the Zen Peacemakers. A guy from the Dharma brother from, what's it called? Denver, no, Zen Center of Denver, ZCD, organizes Zen Peacemaker service work to work with the Metro Caring Food Bank, the Women's Emergency Shelter, stuff like that. And I don't know if they're going to need somebody to take over that kind of leadership role. You know, you were talking about people that are doing kind of entrepreneurial stuff within the Zen communities.
Yeah. Great.
I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what my role is at the moment, other than voyeur, but Zen practicing voyeur. Also, Megan, I support you in your need to be more involved, to take your practice off the cushion and move it out into the world. I totally get it. So I think finding a Sangha that supports that is really, really important.
Yeah, I support Lisa Marie's just words just now, and I appreciate you showing up just by doing that. And I appreciate Megan kind of bringing this up. And in a way, this is kind of like the bottom line intention for these kind of calls, is to really find that connection and that solidarity, and hopefully nurture these parts of us that need that. So. And I invite, both of these voices, meaning in all of these calls, in terms of, the challenges that we have, some of these council meetings that we have, this wasn't really held in terms of council, but those monthly council meetings that we have can be really vulnerable, and we can be really tender, because people really feel safe enough to bring things. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the support that people like Lisa Marie bring in, just in terms of the being seen is a big piece, and part of what bearing witness is, and the beauty of it is when more eyes of that same net turn into itself, and we're being seen by a larger and larger appreciation, is a powerful experience. I got very lofty there for a moment. I'll just speak a bit about what Lisa Marie was asking. So first, Lisa, if we want to, get into a conversation with Eon Zen Center in terms of how you can contribute, that's wonderful. I definitely want to be respectful of their organizers, and so I'm, we can take that forward, just to kind of see if there's, a way to, have you contribute in a way that feels meaningful to you and for us. So that's one thing. In terms of your contribution in general, I think, first and foremost, you're showing up, and everybody here is showing up, and, coming with yourselves and really offering that. That's the most important contribution. This is part of that energy that we're trying to create. So we've already added, and I've already been nourished by that. In terms of the, program fees, we always have some degree of scholarships that are available. The mala practice, again, it sounds like you're already doing some kind of fundraising with your communities, which is wonderful. And, maybe there's a way to kind of like add that into either like an annual budget or something, but to say, hey, I'm Lisa Marie, and I'm doing all these amazing things. I'm not just going on one retreat. This is really part of my vision, and this is how I'm contributing to the world. Support me in this. It includes teaching flute to kids, and it includes going on a Native American program to bear witness to Native American elders, and includes serving the community of Denver. And so, there's another way to kind of bring in this entrepreneurial mind of people are not just supporting you on a retreat. They're really supporting the vision that is Lisa Marie. Right? What is the calling that is the larger calling that's being manifested through you. So I'm happy to talk more about that, on one-on-one later if you like. Like I said, scholarships are often very affordable, available, and the other thing is, particularly the Native American program, it's also priced in a way that it's also kind of like self-tailored. Some people have a lot more expenses because they don't want to camp. They want to stay at the nearby Hilton, even if it's 2 hours away. So that obviously is a more expensive retreat. But if you really kind of go to bare bones, there's a way to kind of like keep things a bit more bare bones. So, but again, I don't think I've ever turned anyone down from coming on any of our programs. And I've worked with everybody from just trying to either meet, one way or another to make this happen. And the more, engagement and the more enthusiasm and the more kind of like you're showing up, it's like you're bringing this, it will be an important voice in the retreat. So there's it's kind of like there's a preciousness there for the larger container too.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wondered, just to check in with everyone, so I had a hard time hearing Megan, but has anybody else was able to hear you, Megan? No, so it was others also. Okay. Because I was wondering maybe it was just my connection. Okay. Thank you, Megan. I feel so sad. I couldn't hear you better. I look forward to hear more. So we have about 8 more minutes, and I want to be respectful for everybody's time and carving this 90 minutes. Any other questions, or even just kind of reflections, or just check-ins? We can even do a really quick round of check-in. See how folks are. Kaylee, would you like to do a quick check-in?
I don't have anything boiling to the surface right now. It was really nice to just hear everyone's voices and hear where everyone is at with both their practice and their relationship to Zen Peacemakers. It just sounds like there is a lot of investment and desire to build relationship both with the organization as well as letting this stream out into other ways of being active within the within our practice. And I echo, I think Lisa, right? I echo Lisa in regards to supporting Megan in really wanting to take that practice into the world. I've been a part of communities. I have been a part of a lot of communities in a lot of different places, some in Colorado, some in Hawaii, some in California, some in Washington, D.C. I've been a part of communities in kind of various places I've lived. And that's why I felt so impassioned when I found Zen Peacemakers, because I have been engaged and also academically studying Masters in Social Change and trying to figure out how to merge the two. And I have gotten to that place of really craving something more from my practice. So it's nice to know that there's a community that feels that this is, something I was going to say is, I really like, Rami, when you said, like, not to create, what did you say? I wrote it down because I thought it was really beautifully said, but you're talking in regards to Megan starting small and seeing Zen Peacemakers not as something that's necessarily going to be in exchange for one thing, but as a place that creates a platform for gestation for ideas to perpetuate this work. And I love seeing that. So there's no one or the other, right? It's this beautiful collective conversation. So yeah, that's what I have to share for right now.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Mhm.
I just do want to mention that Zen Peacemakers as an organization itself is also not immune to needs of to diversify ourselves more. We are also part of that. So this is something that I'm personally working on as executive director, but I'm working with our board in terms of diversifying our board, our membership. And part of what I'm also looking is into allies from minorities or people who feel that their specific voice or that the specific niche is not being heard and seen. So I'm always open and curious how to bring that in more. So yeah, so I didn't want to make it sound like we're done with that. If you look at our board right now, it is a very internationally diverse. We have people from, I think, 5 different countries speaking, 5 different languages. And most of them are still, I think most of them are still European descent individuals. We have one board member from Puerto Rico. I'm Israeli Middle Eastern, but, I'm also from Eastern European descent. So it's an important thing. So we're also looking at that. And open to feedback on that too. Curious, anybody else wants to just check in or just say, Michael, Lynn, maybe we can just say our farewell check-ins. Maybe just do that.
Rami, can you say a bit about the Zen Peacemakers logo? What's in there? The circle with the 4 directions?
Great, sure. I'm just reading for a moment. I see Megan just wrote us. Thank you so much for everything going on here. It is very inspirational. It helps me move forward knowing there are so many people putting themselves out there for the benefit of all. We'll try a different computer next time. Really excited with the website. Thank you for your support. Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. Thanks for your presence here. The symbol is the middle of it is what's called the wisteria leaf, which is the crest of the Japanese family that Maizumi Roshi, who is the Zen master who came to the United States in the 60s and was Bernie's first teacher, represented. So that's kind of like ties us into the Zen lineage all the way there. And it used to be the symbol of Zen Peacemaker for a long time. And then when we relaunched as Zen Peacemakers International, we added that compass arrows to kind of give a bit of that breath sense. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, great. So we have just about, really about a couple of more minutes. So maybe just last final words from people. Michael, Lean, if you'd like. I'm
going to just comment that we live in a very small town in Portugal, and we don't have a Sangha here, but I feel like that I have access to that through friends who have been to the Thai retreats and now through the Zen Peacemakers as well, to have new personal friends that will develop, and then also structure in terms of doing something monthly or creating a Sangha. It doesn't look like something I can go to every Wednesday night, but it's something that is much more available because of the website in part, and also just developing more friendships. So I'm grateful to be here today and get acquainted with some more members and some more interesting people. It makes me much more optimistic and hopeful about the future. So, because sometimes I can get a little blue. So there you go. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lynn.
Of course. Michael, no?
Thank you, Michael, for your presence. Very steady and confident. Appreciate that. Barbara, any last word or just reflection?
I would just like to say that having been involved with the Plum Village tradition and with Earthholder Sangha for quite a long time, that I'm so joyful that I have found you, that this adds to my practice. And if there are people at all that are interested in Thai or in Vietnam, you can go to lovingwork.com, no, lovingwork.org, and there's 2 retreats to Vietnam where we travel, and we also do loving work with nonprofits, with schools, and this just fits into everything. So thank you so much. I look forward to being part of this organization.
Right. Great. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you all. We came to the time to close. So I'm just taking in all that I've heard, felt, and I look forward to seeing everyone on other calls. I'll be seeing Lean and Michael in a few months in Poland. So as we go off, in Portugal, in Arizona, in Colorado, in San Francisco, may our hearts stay very close, and may we hear our calling, and we listen, and may we share. Thank you all. Thank you. I feel very honored and humbled. I'm going to unmute everyone so we can just say goodbye together.
Bye-bye, ciao.
Bye, thank you.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, all.
Bye, everybody.